All right, guys. Thank you for joining us in the Next Level Live. I appreciate it. This is going to be we're going to have 2 more after this end of the year?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're winding down 2019.
Yep.
So thank you for being with us. I really appreciate it. We have some amazing guests today. We have Paul McClain, who sent an interview with Rochelle, and then we have Nick Ayala. Right. So we have a great lineup. You get 2 very contrasting, right? You get one is just building a massive organization, hit it pretty hard from day one, Nick, and Rochelle has worked from, as an administrator with Paul and working there and hadn't sold nothing, now selling quite a bit, right. And now hiring, and working closely with Paul, and they're trying to build something massive out there, which is out on the West Coast, which is great. So we're very excited about that. We had a phenomenal. We were talking about this last week, even Founders Day meeting. Very excited about what the future looks like. Convention, we're really amped up about that, and can't wait to get to that. Had some great sales conferences this past week, and we're every time we kind of like, we're last one of the year, and then we're like, we have another group that has 60 people. It's like, let's do one over there. Business development meetings. And I said to Andrew, what are you doing? I called him, and he's like, doing business development meeting. I'm like, where? He's like, Hawaii. I'm like, life is not so bad, right? Like Hawaii. Like if you go, hey, I'm going to Norwich, Connecticut. I mean, it's not like Norwich isn't bad. I mean, I was born in Norwich, but like it's cold. It's Norwich, Connecticut. Like there's nowhere to go. And then he's in Hawaii doing a business development meeting. So
not bad.
Not a bad program. So here's where we're going to take it today. Mike Sizer, he's been getting a lot of nominations for his interviewing skills. I think it was, we're talking about Eric and his agent, Liz. And she's like, man, I couldn't have done it without Mike. And I'm like, she's like, he's a really good interviewer and a really good host. So I agree with all those things. So we're going to go ahead, Mike, and let you spend a few minutes. We've been talking a lot. This segment's going to be about, sales, hiring, those 2 things, which is what we do. And anything that you kind of want to ask me, we've spent a lot of time. It's kind of funny because when we got in the business in 2008, I didn't know how to do either. I had never sold life insurance, and I certainly had never built a team, and I also never wanted to build a team as a multi-level marketer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was taught all of the great defenses too. Is this multi-level marketing? Everything's multi-level marketing. It's like, no, some things actually pay money. No, some things actually give you money. And I'm not saying some ML it does, but for the most part, the things I had seen, I never wanted to be part of an organization where there were thousands or hundreds of thousands of people and a very small percentage of them making money. That was not I was never intrigued by that opportunity. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Mike, and let you do what you do. And we'll hand it over to Paul, Rochelle, and Nick.
Got it. Thanks, Shawn.
You're welcome, bud.
I guess my first question, you look at, the guests on these TNLs each week, and I think we have tons of new agents, whether they're in the licensing process or just getting going. And I kind of want your take, and I think this piece to our business has changed so much, like the onboarding process. I mean, back when we got started, it'd take you 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to get into the field. And now with everything being electronic or whatnot, it's a lot quicker. I kind of want you to explain, first of all, how short you think that process can be, and then how can a new agent take advantage of it? Like there's a few weeks left to the year, but you could still actually get in the field and start making money before the year's over.
Well, yeah, it was a very different process 11 years ago. I mean, the process was good luck. Right. Nothing was automated. You sent your contract, and I faxed my contracting in 2008. I did. I faxed from a little machine I had at my house that I bought from Staples for $90, page by page by page. Some of it would jam, it would stop, it would slow down. In today's world, Mike, let's take, today's Friday, right? Let's say I passed my exam today. All right, I'm done. I leave the exam center, and I have passed. I have to get my insurance license. Now, every state's different, okay? I didn't wait. Like, everybody's different, right? I drove to the Department of Insurance. I don't live in a huge state, though. It was only half an hour from where I tested. Right. Some people, and I was like, hey, I just want to put a name in the face. I want to apply for my license. I'll make sure I'm doing all the right stuff. I have my license in a couple of days in Connecticut. Every state's different. Some are pre-appointments, some aren't, okay? But you have to figure that out on your own. Like my daughter's like, the other day she's applying to she's applying to a couple different colleges. She's transferring next year. And she asked me like, well, it says 1 letter recommendation. What do you think I can? And I look at her like this. She's like, well, what, Dad? I go, when did I get a job there? Like, when did I ever start working in admissions at that college? Because I don't ever remember taking a job there. I never remember interviewing there. Why don't you call them? What are you asking me for? And she's like, okay. And she calls them, and asks them, and they answer because they have the answers. You have to go get the answers. So the thing about being an independent contractor is you have to take the initiative. The only way you'll be successful as an independent contractor is if you're on the offensive. You have to take the initiative. That's the way it works. I was like, defenses win championships. Dude, how do you win a championship? Nothing. How is it humanly possible if you don't score that you win a championship? How do you absolutely win a championship? I'm like, I love you, but like the Patriots won 22 out of 12 years. I mean, they win every year, it seems like. And Tom Brady seems pretty good. They have pretty good offense. They have trick plays. They do a lot of onside kicks. They're like very offensive. They push. They go for it on fourth down. So that's and to be an independent contractor, you have to be on offense. You have to be crazy with your initiative. You have to call. The research is the information is all online. You have to go on. If you don't know something, Google it. In the state of Connecticut, can I run insurance after ask, figure it out? How long is it going to take? What can I do to expedite it? So to answer the question, Mike, now again, I needed the money and I needed the freedom. So I acted accordingly. I didn't wait. I wasn't waiting for anybody to give me the answer. And I think we have a lot of people nowadays that are just taking initiative. They're not waiting for people to give them the answers. That's how a lot of things we've created at the company. You all figured things out and pushed us to move faster because you don't want to wait to go help families and get paid. So I think if you pass your exam today, you go ahead and apply with the state immediately, right? And then the reality is that you should already be hiring. I was like talking to people about it. I saw that people could do it, and I understood the concept of leads. That didn't seem very complicated. And I knew most of my friends weren't happy with their jobs, so asking them about making extra money didn't complicate things or didn't confuse me at all. So, Mike, I think that once you get on the phone, the minute you legally can. I mean, the minute you legally. By the way, you don't need an insurance license to call people with the lead. It's funny about you call somebody up, you can't sell a policy over the phone. But we have there are people all over the state of Connecticut that call for other people in PNC and life. Because when I started, I was like, I get called by people all the time that don't have a license. Now you can't sell them anything, you can't discuss anything, but you can certainly. You go, well, I don't have. I had a guy the other day. He goes, well, I haven't officially been appointed with every carrier. And I go, have you been appointed with any carrier? It's like, yeah, I've been appointed with one or two or three. And I'm like. Then why don't you? And I'm like, I said, but I'm trying to help you. What are you waiting for? And I think for me, Mike, too, and I stand behind this 11 years later. I wasn't waiting to make sure that every single scenario of every single human being's, every single medication, I didn't need to know all that. I knew that when I went out there and asked questions, I would learn. I wasn't trying to be so overly prepared. Now with the e-app, it doesn't even let you continue. All you have to do is ask the questions. They're not eligible. It's going to tell you. So there's no guessing anymore. So the stuff we had to do is a lot different from what y'all have to do nowadays, or what we have to do nowadays. So, Mike, I think you should be out there in a matter of, it depends on your state. But even some of the states that allegedly take a while, I mean, a week, 2, 10 days, I think you should be on the phone. I think you should be practicing your in-home. I think you should do that. Some of the stuff we used to do, Mike, was like, let's do the in-home. I was right now? I'm like, yeah, right now. Like, I'll be the client, you be the agent. Let's do it. I mean, but let's walk through these things. And I didn't act. I always disliked when people are like, I remember we had a guy in a meeting one time like, it's role play. And he's like, okay. And he's just terrorizing this guy on the phone. It's role playing as an agent. I'm like, stop. I'm like, dude, don't do that again. Nobody would ever do that if they filled something out. You're acting like somebody who's been cold called and hasn't asked for act for it. Don't do that. You're just beating the guy up on the phone here in this role play for no reason other than you want attention. Don't do that. These clients don't do that. They fill out a form. And the minute that they push back at all, you need to go like, this is Mike Sizer, right? Yeah, you did fill out a form, right? Okay, with all due respect, sir, can we stop acting like you didn't? I didn't call you randomly, but I have this form. I can take a picture of it and send it to you right now if you want. But I'm looking at what you filled out. So anyway, Mike, I think there's nothing holding you back.
Yeah.
In a lot of states, you're like licensed, you're contracted quickly. It's all electronic content, and you're getting paid within 5-6 days of you getting your license. Sometimes a day or two, depends on the state. But the reality is you have to take the initiative. You have to. I was writing a lot of business. I didn't understand the apps, process, but you best believe I come back with 15 applications and sent them in. Like, I wanted people to have life insurance. And did I make mistakes? Yep. Did I forget some things? Yep. Did we sort it out? Yep. And did I learn? It's the best learning process I ever had. I had this mental block on the apps early. Yeah, we were all paper apps. The driver's license. Remember that? Like, I would ask for a driver's license. They would give me their driver's license. No, they would. They would hand it to me. They would be on because I knew I had to have it. It would be on the application. And I'd write everything else down but that. I mean, like, if you had a third cousin as a beneficiary, I put them down. And I'm like, where's driver's license? Like, what did I had it in my hand? Like, what did I had the banking information, had all your medical stuff. You know, I have to call back and go, Tom, what's driver's license again? And they'd laugh, go, I gave it to you. I'm like, I know. And in the midst of me answering everything else, I said, so, and I just learned by making those mistakes. They weren't going to affect their insurance. I got their information. It was no big deal. And my clients answer the phone. Like, people are like, well, you can't call them back. They'll never answer. I'm like, why would they not answer? They answered all the time. They wanted the insurance. I gave them the insurance. When I called them back, why would they not answer my phone call? Or if they didn't answer, they're busy. They call me back. So, Mike, the answer is immediately. But the initiative with which you start will be the initiative with which you proceed, and your bank account will reflect that. Yeah. You give me somebody who's not where they want to be financially as an independent contractor in a situation like life insurance, it's very simple to make money. I give you somebody that just doesn't have the initiative, or the guy or girl next to him is doing better.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, you look back to our first year, I think Mark Mead was our number one producer. And if I had to guess, maybe he did $300,000.
Sounds about right.
And I'm looking at our numbers as of today, and based on just some simple projections, I think we'll have 25 Hall of Fame producers this year. So 25 people over $400,000. What do you what do you think contributes to that? Like, how's this landscape changed that much?
It's attitude. I mean, where to show attitude, activity. We came into this business with low activity. Yeah. We were used to, a lot of us, we were very much used to running 6, 8, 10 appointments a week. That's where Mark raised the bar early on, because we didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I was doing $500,000 a year personally when I was working selling life insurance before we started the company, running 30 appointments a week. I wasn't as good as a lot of people, 35, 40 appointments. I wasn't as good as a lot of them. And I didn't write premiums as high. I just didn't do that. Yep. Mark was better, you know? So I think also it's that rising tides raises all ships, right? So, like, at the end of the day, we have more people running 30, 35, 40 appointments a week. Mike, I can tell you this unequivocally. If we have 10,000 producers that are active, and if they all, which is if everybody ran 30 appointments a week, we'd have 60% of our people would be Hall of Fame. I know people say that I can't be, but here's why I can't be. I don't believe that. I think anybody with the right attitude, and I think the attitude too, I think we've left what we can't control, we've left alone. I mean, we've really learned to understand this is about clients. This is about serving people. This isn't, they have bad days too. They have stuff go on. It's not personal. You know, you get there and they just got home from work, or they had a bad day at work, or they got to run back. Whatever the situation is, we've kept a good attitude about things. So, and again, when the attitude's right and the activity's right, the sky's the limit. We're learning that like $600,000 a year in life business people are paying. I mean, it's insane, and it's not unbelievable.
Yeah, we have 4 people over that already.
I mean, so at the end of the day, Mike, I really believe that when I got my license, the people around me weren't doing this full time. They said they were, but they were not. They said 2 days in the field, maybe. Yep. And I just don't think they believed. When we started, it was like 10K a week, 10K a week, 10K a week, 10K a week. Now, take that with the right issue. It's still only $32,000 a month, right? $360 a year, you know, $384 a year. So at the end of the day, I think these guys and girls have said, wait a minute. We'll do 30, 35 appointments a week. We'll submit 12, 15, 17, 20 grand a week. No problem. And have time to hire and have time to do stuff with our families. So I really think, Mike, globally that's changed. We have so many people that are doing it that we stop this. Oh my God, he's so unbelievable. You know, the worst trainers ever are the guys or girls that go, look what I'm doing, and they try to convince you how special they are and tell you you can't do it. Anybody can be in the Hall of Fame with the right attitude and activity. I don't care what your background is. I don't care if you're sold, not, you love meeting with people, you don't like meeting with people. I don't care what it is. If you're on 30, 35, 40 appointments a week, which is full time, and you keep the right attitude, you 100% could be. No doubt about it.
Yeah, got it. I want to shift gears to hiring real quick before we turn this over. You know, we see a lot of these new guys come on, like Nick hit board member in 18 months. You got guys like, you know, Greg and Rob was hit VP, you know, 30, 60 days. You know, I know there's levels in between, but we kind of focus on VP, board member. Why are those 2 levels so important, and how do you get to each of those?
That's such a great question. I think VP is the foundation for your business. We talk a lot about hitting your first 150K. Is any of it easy? It's simple. You know, it's simple, not easy. I'm always like, what? Huh? I know, it's like I'm in Wedding Crashers. Shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Yeah. Like, I don't, what do you mean it's simple but not easy? And I get it. I'm trying to be a little flippant, but I get it. But I think at the end of the day, Mike, when you get to 150 grand, you built the foundation for business. You built the foundation for the house. It can be the winter, Mike. You could not be working for 2 weeks. That foundation's still there. Right. It doesn't go away. Like, you can't build a wall and then leave and come back in 2 months. Where's the wall? Well, came down because it gets windy sometimes, and like you built one wall out of wood, like and it didn't have anything to support it, so eventually it was going to pull away. The 150 grand, I think, is a testament to you building something. You have people that are going to be selling enough and working hard enough to build a business. And then I think board member, to be honest, there's, senior VP and EVP, all that stuff's great, and it's unbelievable as we progress. But I think we've hired quite a few people lately that really believe they can get wealthy in time and money by building a business. And they're just committed to it. They staffed immediately. I don't mean overstaff. They staffed immediately. Nick's got 1 or 2 staff. I got people that are trying to, I'm like, are you trying to compete with us and get more staff? Like, if you want to, you can, but why do you need that many? But we're responsible for a lot of stuff. What do you need that much for? But I really think, Meaike, is that 150 grand when you get there. I heard this, and I do believe this. I heard this my first year. A guy said to me, the hardest we get in 150. And I'm like, no, man, 150 to 5 to 7 to $1 million, that's going to be harder as you paid a month. And he said, Shawn, once you're at 150, you have to have people that are also looking at this like it's their own business, which means they're going to build it like it's their own business, which means that y'all are doing it together. And once that foundation's built, it's a lot easier to pile on. You have that foundation. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I really do. I think we're going to see, you take Eric Schmidt. Is Eric Schmidt going to hit board? Eric Schmidt might hit board member 12 to 14 months in.
Yeah.
And the great thing about Eric Schmidt, I know him personally, is and I don't mean this I love him. He knows that. There's nothing special.
Right.
Nothing special. I just wake up early, work harder, stay up later, and I'm all in all day, all long. That's what I do. Like, it's not special. It's everything I do can be duplicated. I realize that. It's just, are you willing to do the work?
Yeah.
Like, we can do what you do. I'm like, you could. I don't like to sleep. Do you? I'm not going to complain about stuff. Do you? I'm not going to back down. Do you? We're going to make decisions based on what's best for the agents. I always crumble when I hear people, like, so-and-so can help me, and I'm like, but they're like, what's in it for me? I'm like, I don't know. They need the help. Like they just need the help. How about you just help them?
Right.
How about you just do it because it's the right thing to do and don't keep score? I don't know, man. I just think and we've done that since day one, Meaike. We've done it. And so I think that you're seeing, and in fairness to Nick, Nick's coming at a very good time. Eric, to get the board member, any one of you. It was in Mark's defense, our defense, right? We couldn't run 30, 35, 40 appointments a week every week, and we didn't have the lead flow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
right.
Mark's an animal in the field, but we didn't have the lead flow. And it was really like thinking about, can I hire? And if I hire, what do I do with my leads? We had a lot of that year one. What about my leads? And that was very understandable. Right. But if you're thinking, well, if I hire in my area, what about my leads? You're not utilizing internet and Facebook leads. You're not. You're just not. And I think that's one of the things that Nick adopted, and some of these other folks, they adopted this. Social media marketing is the present and the future of this business. And if you don't get out in front of it, you will not survive. I don't get political with nobody. That just doesn't work. I ain't looking for them to save me. I don't trust them either side. Shawn Meaike. I'm just saying me. But the one thing I know is when I start watching one do a bunch of TV ads and one hammering social media, I'll take the one doing social media is going to win. They're just out in front of too many people. And the money's a lot. It's, people go, mate, direct mail leads are expensive. And again, we don't create them. I was saying this on something the other day, but they're appropriately priced because they're hard for them to create. So in today's world, hitting VP, get you 150 grand, getting 3-4 groups that are working with you, right? That you're helping manage and maintain and staying out of the way when you need to. That's the other thing. Know when to stay out of the way. Somebody's doing something good, just good work. When I see Hall of Fame producers, I go, would you like some coffee? And what would you like in it? Can you give me some advice on building a business, Shawn? Selling looks like you got it under control. What do you like in your coffee? Do you drink coffee? You want water? You want lemon, lime? Like I know how to stay out of the way when things are going good. And I really think, Meaike, it's understanding the full utilization of what's available out there from a lead standpoint, from a social media standpoint, from an infrastructure standpoint. Because at the end of the day, the reason I've always felt that since I was a little kid about politics and stuff is I was going to take care of me. Right. And my kids. I was going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I don't trust any of them fools to do it. What do they know more than I do? They don't. I want to go to work. And the nice thing about life insurance, we've learned, people go, like, what if the market changed? I'm like, I started in 2008 when there was a crash of the market. 2008. That's when we started. And we crushed it. So I'm not worried about the ups and downs. We're going to figure all that out. So I appreciate you, Meaike. Thank you very much for all you do. I'm going to turn it over to Paul and Rochelle. Then Nick will finish up. Have an outstanding week, guys. We'll see you all next Friday.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you for having us on the Next Level Live. Shawn, it's a privilege, and I really mean it. Like, when I say I come on here and I know I'm speaking to an elite group of people, it's an honor to be on. And the successes that Family First Life continues to produce, I say, it's like proof of concept every 2 minutes. It's like, there's another one. And it's a blessing to be a part of, to see that many people go out and come on board, some new to the insurance industry, never selling a policy, and in 60, 90 days, they're like, oh, it's 20K again, 20K again, 20K again. And see, it's one thing to do it, Rochelle. Like, it's one thing to go out and like write $20,000 a month. And I remember the first time I did it, and I was just like, I was out of my mind about, going out there and creating that kind of income. I was 19. I was like, man, this is a big deal. In fact, my first sale I remember going back into my car and thinking, like, there's no way that I just helped that family. It felt that good. It was almost like I made a friend, and I'm going to get paid $800. And I started freaking out like I'd won the Super Bowl. Like, yeah! And I'm confident that if they were looking through the window, they would have thought I just stole their entire bank account, and it would have been an instant chargeback. But it's just exciting to do it, but then I think it's even more exciting to watch others do it. And then Shawn Meaike, what he's put together, the platform for people to go out and succeed rapidly, to succeed at this level, and the standard that FFL has set as far as, hey, anybody can go out and write 10K a week. Anybody can do it. It doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, your background. You can you can build a new reputation with yourself and stop thinking that you can't go out there and earn that kind of income. And quickly, belief will start to brew, so to speak. Say, man, if that many people could do it, I could do it. And so it's been a privilege for the past 12 months. I mean, obviously, we've known each other for well over a decade, right?
So old.
Going back in high school. And that's kind of the power, I think, of consistent, messaging and content and post. Like, I didn't pursue you, so to speak, Rochelle. I did once I knew you were interested, because I was like, this girl's going to kill it. Like, and I know her life can change here. But it was just post after post after post, letting people know about the success stories that were taking place at FFL. And now, over 10 years later, as far as us, I guess well over 10 years, right? We've been in business together for about 12 months. And for me to watch what you've done for your family, and it's what you've done. Like, yes, I gave you the opportunity. I kind of introduced you to Family First Life, but you're the one that wakes up in the morning. You're the one that picks up the phone. You're the one that calls the leads. You're the one that invests in the leads. You're the one that goes to the client's house late at night, sometimes probably in a trailer park where you think that they might harvest your kidney, and you got to be like, you got to ping your GPS to me or somebody else to know that, hey, this might be it. You do all that, and you've created something great here. And so I'm excited to have you on, and for the FFL nation, so to speak, to be able to kind of lean in and learn from what you're going to cover today. And I just suggest that everybody has a pen and a piece of paper, and that you take notes on any conference call. I think it's one thing to listen to them. It's another thing to be fully engaged and focused and expecting to get some great substance from them. And I think success is bred in expectation. And so I've had seasons where I'm just on the call while I'm at the gym, and I think I get something, but I don't get nothing like I would get if I was sitting there undistracted, taking notes and saying, how can I apply this? When can I apply this? What does it look like? How can this change my business? And then I leave from there, and everything starts to shift and change. So as we start off, I want everybody to kind of listen to, where you were at financially before you started FFL, what that looked like, because I think it's a great story. And so how it looked prior to FFL, and then kind of go into, what it looks like now and some of the things that you did and what you think led to that change, like that big transition, those breakthroughs. So if you could touch upon that, and good to have you on.
Oh, thank you guys. About a year ago, I got my license a year ago tomorrow. So not even my license, I passed my test a year ago tomorrow. And I'd like to say I had finances. I didn't have finances. Like, I had nothing. So if I had nothing, I had nothing. And it's the things that I didn't have, I now have. So my kids didn't have food. And I've told this story before, and I think it's such a good remembrance because we didn't have any food in our home for my kids. And I was working and I was making $249 a week. And it was not fun for my kids because I'm a single mom of 3 kids. I once was married, I had a husband, good job, good money, things like that. But you know, that's life. Things change. And finances don't come along with the divorce. I'm sorry, that's just not part of the package. So when he left, so did the money, and I had to figure it out. So I would clean houses on the side, and I was working 40 hours a week, missing everything with my kids. And I'm the overly involved mother where everybody goes to me for the answers to the questions. And the fact that I couldn't do that anymore because I was making $250 a week and my kids were still going hungry, I was so sick of it. And I found myself crying on the floor of a bathroom in the plumbing company I was working for and having a mental breakdown. Not just breakdown, just like I knew that there was something better, praying out loud that there was something better. And less than 24 hours later, you call me to go to the semi-annual convention. Not the annual convention, the semi-annual convention. And the events that took place after that were just nothing shy of life-changing and a blessing. I got my license. I mean, we had to, of course, cut out again because I left the job where I was at, making nothing to have more nothing. But the thing is I needed to be plugged in, and I knew that this was a change. And the company I was at, I explained to them where I was going, and they actually gave me $1,500 to make sure that my faith was embedded here. They made sure I wouldn't lose my home, make sure I had something that I wouldn't have any, real issues. And I did. I paid rent, paid my cell phone bill. That was it. And money was gone. But I knew that within doing that, I knew that it was going to lead for a better path for my kids. And 2 weeks, I remember my kids working and studying with me, and that's the hardest part of this job is passing that dang test. And it's an easy test, but the thing is you want to pass it because once you pass it, it's that threshold into a better life. And my first month starting on, you didn't sugarcoat anything. You said, here's leads, dial. You need to invest money. Well, I had earned side money, side hustling, and I was doing dials for dollars I was like, hey, I'll dial for you for a couple bucks. And you're like, well, now it's your turn. And then I did. I invested every penny I had. I even overdrew my account because I was $1 shy. But the thing is I knew the possibility behind it because I'd seen the growth of yourself and Andrew and the people I was dialing for in that room. I'd be silly not to. So looking back at the past 11 months, 10 months since I actually started, because January 28th was my first issue policy, I look back and it's just a total different world. And my kids don't go without, and that's the biggest thing. But I wake up early, and I wake up with a sense of purpose because I was waking up before and I had no sense of purpose. I was waking up to make other people money. Now I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I go to the gym. I'm at home by 5:30, and guess what I'm doing? I'm calling people on the East Coast to get their business going. So by the time the people on the West Coast are awake, I'm already working with them. And the best part about that, Paul, is I'm making over 6 figures this year. And I don't miss much with my kids. I mean, I do miss things because I have to run appointments and this is life. But on the flip side, my son had a football championship. Last year I missed it because I was making $80. This year I missed it, ran appointments the next day, made $3,000. Just that in itself, taking a step back and realizing my life has completely changed. And it's because I did what was laid out for me to do. I didn't question it because clearly what I was doing was wrong. I wasn't making good money. Why? Because I was doing what other people needed me to do to make the money. This is what you're telling me to do to make money. I'd be a fool if I didn't follow the program. Just fool. It makes no sense.
I think even the conversation that I had when I called you and you said, it was literally 2 hours before the conference took place, the pre-conference, and you lived 3 hours from where it was located, and you were like, I don't know if I can, and I was like, I'm telling you, you have to get here and things will change. And I sold you on it because I knew what it would do for you, and you're like, all right, I'm in. And see, I think a lot of times when somebody makes a decision that doesn't make sense, because that didn't make sense for you to do that. It was 2 hours, you hadn't even probably, who knows if you had taken a shower. I don't know. I didn't ask you all those things. I was just like,
oddly, I did that day. I never get dressed that early. Before this, I never got dressed early that morning. And when you called me, I'm dropping off the girls at school, and this is probably one of the best things that's ever happened. I'm dropping the girls off at school, and I say, hey, Paul, or answer the phone, hey, Paul, hey, girls, have a good day, make good choices. And your exact words were, it's time for you to make good choices. This is what we're doing. And I did. And had you have not done that, Had you have not called me on your way en route to Vegas, I was late. Like, there's so many obstacles. Card ended up dying.
Yeah.
You know what? And it was all because you made that call to me. I mean, it really is. Like, I wouldn't have gone on my own volition.
Now let me say this, because I know, but what are the other like 2 or 3 things that kind of took place like right after, because you went there and it started to make sense. That's why we always say, like, you got to get to the conventions. For one, the training is unbelievable. This isn't a rah-rah session. Like, you know, you didn't walk in and we had hot coals and you ran across and we hit you in the face with some pixie dust, like, I'm going to be rich, you know.
No.
That didn't take place. It was like, wow, this is some practical training that I believe I could do this. And these are real people, people that have a heart, that they care. And why can I not go do this? So you left excited. We had a conversation on the way back. You're like, man, I'm going to kill this thing. This is, I got this. I'm willing to commit. And another thing is, people make commitments and big decisions at emotional events. You know, an event where people are there succeeding and you're able to kind of see yourself up there doing these things. You're like, that's where commitments take place, right? But once that happened, it seemed like a bunch of stuff, like just minutia, whatever, it kind of came and boom, it hit you. What were like 2, 3 things that took place the following 3 weeks after you said, I'm going to make this work with FFL?
Oh, my car got repossessed and I lost all water in my home.
And you ended up sleeping at like your mom's house with the kids? And
I was sleeping at my mom, yeah, and I was sleeping at my mom's, and it was just the most awkwardest thing I've ever been through, because I'm trying to listen to podcasts and stuff, and my mom's like, she's just like in her own little mind, she's like, did you invite a man over? I'm like, no, Mom, the kids are in the living room.
So you had the financial situation wasn't looking good.
Oh,
and then
God, no.
Now the thing is this. The reason why I point that out is, like, Rochelle, I couldn't tell that was going on outside of you telling me, like, hey, by the way. And the reason I asked, because you didn't tell me, I was like, hey, where's your car at? Did you walk here? You're like, no, I just got repossessed. But the good news is, I recruited the person. It didn't mess me up at all, because when I heard the beeping, I just threw my keys down there because I was in an interview, and I ended up hiring the guy, and I think he's going to do well. And that was your attitude, and I think that says so much about, like, why you are where you're at today, having a group that's going to be at 150. You're very close to 150,000 paid monthly business. You're a 20K plus producer each and every month, and you do a lot of this on the side of working in the office still, recruiting and working with agents. I think that's the foundation that you've built from was, hey, I don't have terminal cancer. I'm not dying tomorrow. It's going to be all right. I'll figure this thing out. I think you've always had the right perspective. So when things come to mess you up, they just bounced off and actually built character. And you were able to be thicker skinned, mentally tougher. So it almost led to a benefit. And see, I think that's something that you've got to really have to build something great. You know, like LeBron James, when he's on the basketball court, he doesn't have one defender. He has 3 defenders on him. Why? Not because he sucks, but because he is so influential on the outcome of that game and that team winning. They know, like, we gotta oppress him. We gotta bring some resistance against him. And a lot of times it's the same thing. Call it what you want. You know, you call it, like, you know, the enemy, which is what I call it. You call it just like the universe, whatever you want to call it.
Or not having money to pay your car payment.
But what I'm saying is, like, all those things, like the water going out, you not having money, all those things taking place, like, you were setting yourself up for a big breakthrough. But if you would have gave up and said, you know what, I can't do it. You know, I don't have a car. You could have easily been the stereotypical person that clings on to excuses that are not as justifiable as that, and decides not to keep pressing forward because of this, that, or that. You said, no big deal. I know where I'm going. I know what it's going to look like. So regardless of what's coming my way, I'm going to take and act today as if I've already won, that the victory is already mine, that I'm already 20K producer, I've already got a big business, and nothing messed you up. And there's so much to say about that, and I love that. So if you could kind of talk about, you know, when you go into the client's house, your close ratio is so good. It always has been good from the beginning. And so it wasn't obviously your skill level as far as, like, having the think about an objection memorized. You know, you hadn't had a chance to listen to, you know, Matt Smith's objection handling 582 times to know exactly how to do it. You didn't have all the experience to know the right word tracks and phraseology. So you didn't have all of that. You didn't have the experience to build confidence from. So what did you have that led to a high close ratio and 20K in your first 30 days? What do you think was foundationally speaking putting that in place?
I never walked into a client's house like trying to take a fundraising order. They requested me to be there. My only job was to let them know that what I'm here to do is make sure they're taken care of. Cut and dry. I'm not here to really service you, because if I was, I would, you'd be paying me for the visit, but I'm here for free to tell you what you need, because this is my job, is to help you. You're going to die. I've been through this where there was no money on the other end, multiple times. I don't want to see you in that position, and I know your family doesn't want to be in that position, so is this for legacy or final expense? Like, really, it's one of the two, because at the end of the day, I know that nobody wants to be a burden on their family. So the whole I'll think about it, I mean, I've never gotten I want to think about it, because what do you have to think about? The fact that you're not going to die? No, sweetie, you're going to die. I'm going to do everything I can to help you. If you choose not to get help, that's on you. I tried. But if I can help you, I'm going to do that. Does that sound fair? Well, yeah, because if you ask them if that sounds fair, what are they going to do? Call themselves a liar? Because they know they're going to die, they know it costs money, and they don't want to be a burden on their family. These are all common sense things. And the thing is, I have 9 brothers, 3 sisters. I don't have a filter with people. I will always be respectful. But on the same notation, you asked me here to help you with something. Please don't waste my time as I'm trying to help you. Is how I go into the home, because I know that not if, but when they die, I want to be that person that makes sure that their family's taken care of. Because I told you this before, there's 3 things. If you've ever gone through a traumatizing loss, and I went through with my dad, I went through with my brother. Tomorrow we celebrate, the passing of one of our other family members, and it's the oh my God factor. Oh my God. Like, oh my God, the shock. Okay, that's done. Your family's gonna go through that. Who do I call? Which is normally your loved ones. And then the third is, what do you do? And there's no change in this, because I've been through it multiple times. It's the same thought every time somebody's ever passed away that was close to me. If you met me in 2014, I was like literally the poster child for GoFundMe, because nobody protected themselves. And it's over my, save the pun, or excuse the pun, but it's over my dead body. I'm going to allow somebody to just willfully do that. Because that, oh my God, who do I call and what's next? I'm your what's next. You call me. I call America, I call whomever, I have them deliver you a check, and your family gets to mourn, grieve, and recover you. It's not that deep. Like, you're going to die. What is your last note going to be? I said, my dad died. There was over 600 people at his funeral, a very loved man. His legacy is a GoFundMe account. 600 people at his funeral. My brother was overseas in a war zone. We had to send him back. I never want somebody to go through that. So I don't let me think about it be an option. It's not. Sorry.
Well, now, the thing is this. So, like, you're so good at conveying the passion behind how important the protection is. And, like, the whole, like, oh, my God factor, that's such a big deal. Like, I love that. And in the instant I heard you say that, I've been acting like I came up with it.
I know.
And be like, hey, this is what you got to do.
No.
Because it's better than anything I've ever said in the home. I mean, it was that good.
Rochelle Nielsen said.
It's that good. So do you think that, like, when you are able to convey that to a client with that passion, it's because you remember, like, the oh my God factor that you dealt with personally?
Yeah.
And see, I think that's it right there. Like, now, for me, I didn't have like personal stories when I got started when I was 19. It's different now, but I really didn't have like a family member that was really close that I had lost, and I didn't understand the emotionality and what it really is like, because you don't really know until you experience it, right?
Right.
But what I convinced myself of was stories like yours, Rochelle. So, like, when I was new and I didn't have a story, I would remind myself of stories like that you said, and I would remind myself before I left my car door that this is real. This is what happens. This is the emotion that people feel. This is what Rochelle said she went through. This is what it looks like. And then I would just tell myself, like, but I knew for a fact that they were going to die tomorrow. Like, they don't know, but somehow I know. Like, maybe God told me, said, hey, this person is going to die. You got to protect him. If I knew that, then to think about it, I would handle it completely different. then anything they gave me as far as noise that was distracting from them getting protection for their family, I wouldn't hear it. I'd be so convicted and steadfast in the fact that we're going to get this plan in place that I wouldn't sway to the left or sway to the right. And I think that's the ticket, is when you got out of your car door, you were putting on this, call like a cape, so to speak. Like, you were going to be the superhero for them and making sure that they're protected. So when something happens and that oh my God factor comes into play in their life, which it will happen.
It happens.
Exactly. They're not thinking like, oh, well, I don't know. Because that I don't know will kill the person. They're already dealing with emotional loss of their family member. And now I don't know how to financially take the next steps to take care of this. But now they think, no, I got Rochelle. Rochelle's going to step in. And see, I think that's how you build clients for life too, where they're raving fans. Like, when somebody else calls a client, they're like, no, you ain't coming over here. I've got Rochelle. Because they know that your heart is for them, that you care about them. You're going to stand up for them.
Yep.
You're going to tell them the truth. And it's not like, and I think, see, when you go to the client's house, Rochelle, when you say, you're not wasting your time, like you're there to get protection in place for that family, what I hear is that you understand that like the fear of loss, what they lose for not getting protection is so far greater than what you lose if they don't get it, which is that commission check, that you do therefore have the upper hand because you're providing a lot more value than they're getting or that you're getting from that commission check, right? I think that's a big, big deal. So as we wrap up and pass it back, is there any like last minute tip you've got as far as in-home presentation, phone script, anything that you want to kind of wrap up with?
My biggest thing I would say is, and I like to reflect back on like what Dom Rogers says. He's big on, they need you. So when you change your mentality, like I'm all about fun and games. I love joking around all day long. But when it comes down to taking care of a client, when it comes down to feeding your business, that's when you need to go like change your face, because joking and laughter, like all that aside, you need to structure yourself. You need to know that every day that you need to have it planned out, mapped out. What are you going to do? Because when you start creating your calendar, when you start developing yourself, and when you start taking this like it's your business, because I mean, you have to run it like a business. You have to run it as though every day you need to do something to get paid, because the day you do nothing is the day you don't get a wage put into your bank account. And nobody likes not waking up and seeing that green put into their account. Nobody likes it. So what do? You talk to people like they need you. Hey, Miss Smith, Rochelle, calling you from the Mortgage Protection Department. You requested me to come out to service you, to make sure you're protected. You filled out. I tell you filled out 4 times. You filled out the form. You asked me to come out. So when are we going to do this? I have Monday or Tuesday, or 3 or 5, 1 or 2. And changing the way that is, making sure that you're in control, that's what makes the difference. Because at the end of the day, people say it's weird what we do going into home. I kind of think that's contradictory, because I never thought it was weird when I had the cable guy, plumber, my pet groomer, my housekeeper. I never thought it was weird when they came to my house. And here's the thing, if I die, they lose their jobs. If I don't die, they keep their jobs. So if I die, I want to make sure that their services are still going. So if anything, you're rendering something that's more perishable than what they do. So get in the house. That's just my thought. Right. Because it's a natural thing to make sure that you're servicing yourself and serving your clients. And when you treat this like a business, when you treat people as though they are doing what they exactly what they did, they requested you to come out, and you're doing exactly what they requested, and that's for you to cover them, and you don't deviate from that, and you plug in, you listen to the people in front of you. I mean, I look at Mark Mead's financial struggles. I look at yours when you came in. I looked at everybody's, and I'm like, if you can fight it and you can scrape tooth and nail to get out of whatever situation you're in, and then you're in free and clear and you're doing well for your family, it's well worth the fight. I will gladly take a bloody nose to make sure that in 7 months, 8 months, 4 months in my case, my life has totally changed.
Absolutely.
I will absolutely do this time and time again.
Well, I love it. And I think that's spot on. The conviction for the client, it's what matters most. Like you can learn all the things to say and how to say it, and watch all the videos and the podcast, which is unbelievable. And that'll take you from really being great to getting to this next level. But if you just care enough about the families, if you just care enough about the client, and you can compartmentalize, because all those things that were going on, they were going on when you went to your first appointment. You know, it was fresh off, you know, the car getting taken out of the parking lot. But you were able to, like you said, you put that face on, like, hey, you know, it's game time. Now it's time for me to put them first. Now think about what situation I've got going on, what's taking place in my life, my financial situation. It's about that family and putting them first. And what a cool business to be in, that if you go in and just love your neighbor, you just love the person you're sitting with, and you tell them the truth, because love is telling the truth, that this is what's going to happen. Your kids right there, you want to not, I mean, like, they're going to struggle. They're not going to have, like, telling them the truth. That's love. That way they make the decision that they need to make, that they know they need to make, to go out there and provide for their family. So I love it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
and thank you, Shawn, for having us on. Guys, we'll pass it back to you. Make it a massive week. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks, Shawn. I appreciate you. And everyone, thanks for tuning in. I hope today I can provide some value to everybody here. I'm going to go over a little bit about, actually a lot about, the difference between a top producer and just an average producer, or really a study that I did about what top producers do. How do they write so much business? What are they doing differently between people that aren't writing that much business that they're doing on a daily basis? So what I did, and some of you may have seen this, I just want everyone to see it, because I think it's really eye-opening for people. I took a study. I did 3 months in a row, and what I did is I took the top 20 from FFL, top 20 in the CRM, and I contacted all of them 3 months in a row and asked them some questions. And what the questions I asked them was how many appointments they ran a month, how much they spent on leads, how much time they studied, and how much they issue paid for those months. And what I did, it was an awesome study, because it was really eye-opening for me, and I'm hoping it's eye-opening for you too. And just so you understand, as I did the study, what I did is every month that top 20 changed a little bit. There was a couple people that came in, a couple people that came out, things like that. I also took out some of the outliers. So some people that may have paid a crazy amount compared to everyone else, or even a lower amount, or some people that spent a lot more on leads or a lot less on leads. I kind of took out those outliers there, and really was able to define what the difference is between these top producers that are writing a lot of business that we all want to do as full-time agents, and then the difference between them and an average producer. So I really encourage y'all to take some notes here, write down some numbers. I know this is going to help you, and I hope I can provide some value to some of you here, and hopefully it can change your business. So the first thing we always talk about here at Family First Life is appointments. How many appointments we need as a full-time agent. We all know the number, 30 appointments. I like to call it the power of 30. There's something like really, it's like a magical number. It's almost like you can't put your finger on why 30 is the number, but 30 is like this magical number where everything, if you can run 30 or book 30 appointments a week, everything's gonna be okay for you. You're gonna write a lot of business, you're gonna make a lot of money, you're gonna help a lot of families. So 30 is that magical number. So what I did is I asked these top producers over a 3-month period. And like I said, every month there was a couple of the same, and there were some people that were different. And I asked them how many appointments they ran for the month. And the average, when I took all of them together, averaged them out, it was 111 appointments per month per producer. If you take that divided by 4 weeks, it's 27.5 appointments a week. So right around that 30 number. Some people ran a lot more, some people were a couple less, but 27.5 was the number of appointments that people ran as a top producer. So that brings you right to that 30. You know, some weeks that they may have had something going on with family, whatever it might be, that they weren't right at 30, but 27.5, 28 appointments, right around that 30 number, that is key for your success here at Family First Life. If you want to be a full-time agent, 30 appointments is number one. So that's the first thing. No surprise there. I don't think that wows anybody. It wasn't really a surprise to me either. However, the next question I asked these top producers, these top 20, is how much they spent on leads. And this was kind of eye-opening to me because I had an idea of how much they spent on leads. But what was insanely incredible was how almost every single one of them said basically the same number. And the number was $6,000. That was like the overwhelming majority of the same number that I got almost every time from everybody. Some people were a little higher, some people were a little lower. What I did is I took those top 20, I got the exact amount, or at least as close as I could to the exact amount, averaged them together, and the actual number was $5,883 a month on leads. Now if you think about that, that's a lot of money. That's basically $6,000 in lead cost, but that's your business cost. When I tell you how much money the average was that they issue paid, this $6,000 is not much at all. So if you're a new agent, or even if you're an agent that is struggling or just not quite there and you want to be there, work yourself up to that $6,000. It doesn't mean that you have to go spend $1,500 a week right away if you can't. But if you're spending $500 now, work your way up to $800. Then take that money, flip it, and work that up to $1,000 a week. Take that money, flip it, and work your way up to $1,250, and then take that and work your way up to $1,500. Once you get to that $1,500, now $1,500 a week, that's $3,000 every 2 weeks, that's your $6,000. That's going to give you enough leads to be a top producer. So now if we couple that with the amount of appointments booked and the amount of leads we have, now we have a formula for success. Also, if you have $6,000 worth of leads, it makes it a lot simpler to book 30 appointments a week. So that's another reason why they're booking so much. So 30 appointments a week, or 27.5 was what the actual study said, and $5,883 in lead cost per month. Okay, so work yourself up to that. Write those two numbers down. This is the one to me that is most important. I asked them all how much they studied per month. There was a couple people that were a little bit of an outlier. I got one individual who studied like 75 hours a month. That was a little outlier. A couple were outliers on the low side. But when I averaged them all together, I got 39.1 hours. So almost 40 hours a month they're studying, a little over an hour a day. And that wasn't necessarily eye-opening to me, but it was important to me. Because what I realized, the longer I've been here, the more I try to help people, the more we hire, I realize that people just don't invest in themselves. I realize that people just don't want to put in the time. You know, you ask, if any of you have talked to John Wetmore, he's used the Tom Brady approach, and what he says about Tom Brady is, how much does Tom Brady study? How much does he watch film? How much is he practicing? All these things, and he's the best there is. We need to approach this business the same way. How much are we studying? Who are we studying? What I like to do when we hire new agents is not only talk to them about watching as many videos as possible, but then picking out 1 or 2 or 3 videos of maybe one person that they really relate to, or 1 or 2 people they really relate to, and watch those videos over and over and over. Watch them till they can literally memorize every single piece of that video. How much are you going to study? Top producers study 39.1 hours a month. In my opinion, if you're new, you need to double that number. If you've been with us for a while, you need to at least be at that number, because a lot of you aren't. If you study more, your business will be more successful. You will make more money. You will be able to help more people. And I think that, to me, is the best part about this study that I did. Are you getting better every day? And if you could ask yourself that question, am I getting better for myself? Am I getting better for my business? Am I getting better for my family? Every successful person that I've ever met, or successful leader, they're always continuously learning. They're always continuously trying to soak up information, soak up knowledge, how they can get better, even if it's one thing. Like when y'all go to these conferences that Family First Life does, if you take one thing from a conference that affects your business in a positive way, that entire conference was worth it. Any successful person you talk to that reads books, if they just grab one thing from a book that helps their business or anything else, other aspect in their life in some way, it was worth it. And so the more you study, the faster you're going to have success, the more success you're going to have, and you're going to be a lot better off in this business. So 39.1 hours, that was the number that they did studying. Issue paid. How much did they issue pay? So there was a couple that were kind of outliers on the high side. only one or two on the outliers on the low side. So basically the number was, and this is astonishing, it's an incredible number, it was $47,218.75. So over $47,000 issue paid for these top producers that are spending $6,000 a month in leads. So that means take that out, and they're at $41,000 paid when you take out that lead cost. Not bad at all. Put their 75% in for their advance. They're doing very well for them and their families. Look, these numbers to me, it's not that they were so eye-opening, but what it does is it gives you a roadmap. This gives you a roadmap for you to understand what they do as top producers and now go copy it. $6,000 in leads a month, 111 appointments booked, 39.1 hours of study. You start doing those things, your entire business changes. I promise you. So what if you're part-time? See, the difference with part-time and full-time people is not that much. If you're part-time, you're probably coming to us because you're trying to get rid of or trying to move away from the position you're in now and come to us full-time. That's the majority of people. So what I like to do is say, okay, great. You know 30 appointments is our full-time, is what we need if you're full-time. Let's cut that in half. We need 15 to 18 appointments, but we need that in a 2-day span. Don't do 15 appointments over a week. That's going to get you frustrated. But if you do 15 appointments over a 2-day period, you're going to be able to change your situation pretty quick. So we cut that in half. We can cut lead costs in half. Instead of spending $6,000, let's spend $3,000, maybe even $2,500. You're going to have plenty of leads. It's going to make it easier on your dial days because generally you don't have as much time to dial if you're part-time because you have another job. This will make it easier to dial if you have more leads. See, I think part-time people try to buy a lot less leads, but then they have a harder time because they're not booking enough appointments because they don't have enough leads. So we still want to buy a really good amount of leads. Now here's the kicker. Study time. Full-time people, 39.1 hours as a top producer. If you're part-time, don't cut that in half. Leave that where it is. You should still be doing 39.1 hours or more if you're part-time. You need to study more. Keep studying. It's going to get you out of your situation. It's going to get you out of your current position to where now you can go full-time with us. And that's the goal. So 15, 18 appointments if you're part-time in a 2-day period. You can cut the lead costs in half as long as you're getting enough leads, but keep the full-time schedule of study. Now, it's all about consistency. You can't do it for a week. You can't do it for 2 weeks. Don't even do it for a month and expect the crazy results. Do it for 6 months. See what happens. Start with a month, then do it for the next month, then do it for 6. Make a decision for you and your family that this is what you're going to do. If you want to do it, of course. But now you have a roadmap to what top producers do. So I hope that helped y'all because to me, it was very eye-opening. It made it easy to say, okay, if this is what the top producers are doing, this is all I have to do. There's nothing that makes them so much more special than I'm just being outworked. So now let's just get to work, right? So we need to switch our focus from what am I going to do attitude and what am I going through right now in my life, because we're all going through a lot of things. So instead of thinking, what am I going through right now, we need to start switching our attitude and our mind to what am I going and where am I going to? Not what am I going through, where am I going to? And if we can start with that attitude of where we're going to from now on, and now we have a roadmap of how to get there, it makes our lives much better. It makes our businesses much better. And now we can all grow together. We can all help each other. So I hope that helps y'all in some way, shape, or form. I know y'all have heard the saying before I leave you. I know you've heard the saying. The best time ever to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time to plant a tree was today. Plant your tree today. Figure out what you need to do for you and your family. The goals that you have for you and your family and your business. And then find the roadmap on how to get there. And the beautiful thing is there's just so many people in this company willing to help you define your roadmap to get wherever you might want to be, whether it's being a top producer, whether it's issue paying $10,000 a month, whether it's having an agency doing $1 million a month or more. There's people to help you in this company. So that's my time. I appreciate y'all. I hope this helps somebody in some way, shape, or form. Remember, 111 appointments a week, over about $6,000 in lead costs for the month, and 39.1 hours of studying is going to get you where you want to be in this business. Thanks, and take care.